In 1975, Finnish jazz rock supergroup Uni Sono released their singular album on Hi-Hat Records, self-titled, and from it the track Boulevard Blues. Okay, and already this is changing my whole mood here, and I love it. It's just putting me kind of into a trance-like state, that kind of liquidy, oily, luminous library ambient quality of the time period. I just love that echoey remote sound that they're generating from that Fender right here. It's almost hard to describe. It all feels kind of pitch bent in some way, and that adds to the hypnotic character of it all. Doesn't it almost sound like just slightly warped, but beautifully so? It's like this ineffable quality. We're in A right here, and things are just kind of flowing along in this sort of like almost lucid state, that Fender. That Fender is just kind of like droplets and oily, like sparkling droplets and oily water amid that really, just that bass line that's just so dark and that dark velvety bass line amid the diamondy Fender, and now we have that luminous synth rising out of the dark background, like a red light. Right there. Doesn't it almost sound like things are just slightly off key or something, some element? Like things are just vaguely out of tune with one another, but it's beautiful. Right there. It's like maybe one instrument coming in that's just tuned just slightly below the other, and then when it hits the note, it has that, you know how like major sevenths where you drop half a step on the octave gives kind of a slanted eye effect. This kind of has that slanted, this kind of tired, this, even though there's no lyrics there, it's like the perfect musical accompaniment for that seductive atmosphere. Yeah, this could totally play like in a 70s era romantic scene or seduction scene or particularly in a European film of the time period, like one of those Italian films or something. Okay, it's about time I introduced who we're hearing here, because they're quite pertinent to what I've been doing lately. I mean, these are all of the 5 members of the band. 3 of them are people who I've individually done segments on in the last few months. The bass is by Pekka Pohjola, and the keyboards are by Olli Ahvenlahti, who I just did like 2 days ago. Okay, and they're being kept at kind of like this snail pace by drummer Reino, Laine. And meanwhile, Olli Ahvenlahti is playing, he's credited on this album with electric piano, Fender of course, and string synthesizer and Moog satellite synthesizer. In addition to organ, grand piano, elsewhere on other tracks. And he's the producer of the album. I love his production work. There's a certain magic about it, yeah. It's definitely not auto-tuned. About this is that there isn't much of this more like the European jazz rock scene didn't have as many there weren't many passages that drew, say, more from like In a Silent Way or the first Weather Report album, that more atmospheric approach, as opposed to like most European jazz rock drew more from the more kind of rapid fire, rocky type, like sound approach of like the Air Mounting Flame. Yeah, this I would liken more to like late '60s Miles Davis when he was going electric, but before Bitches Brew. I'm talking like like 68, 69 period. That and the first Weather Report album. Tracks like Orange Lady, yeah, that Milky Way. And I'm also hearing some elements of the European library sound, particularly that was coming out of Italy during this time period. Some of the slow groove numbers that you could find on those albums. Just like 4 simple elements: the bass line, the Fender, the synthesizer, and the drummer. So basically, we're just hearing 3 of the 5 members. With Olli, of course, handling 2 of the 4 sounds that we're hearing. Some of those landing chords, the way that it just kind of blur, the note will kind of blur like. Hear those like dark sounds like in the background, almost like so muffled you can't even make out what instrument it is. blurry haziness of this sound is like the sonic equivalent of 70s era grainy Super 8 footage. Particularly grainy Super 8 footage that focuses on like blurred objects, like maybe like a glowing bulb in the dark or something like that, or with certain, or maybe like kind of zeroing in on one subject with surrounding subjects being all kind of blurry. I'm kind of also reminded a bit of that Mark Moulin record, yeah, Sam Suffy, and even some of the stuff that he did with Placebo. Another amazing thing about this is that they, with the exception of Olli Ahvenlahti, who's giving us some fills on the Fender, they are really underplaying their own virtuosic hands. It's like the drummer is almost being kind of decidedly unvirtuosic, just giving us a really rudimental that nonetheless is effective at holding things together and giving kind of that lucid pace to it all. And Pekka Pohjola is just kind of, stumbling along, and yet his notes are placed at choice moments that are a little bit more complicated than would initially meet the ear. Notice how Pekka Pohjola, like, he'll, just when it'll seem like he's going to put in another note, he withholds, and then he'll throw in like two notes. And sure I really noticed so much a theme or structure to this as like a chordal sequence that's being kind of thrown around like and modulated to the point where it keeps on landing in a different place and resolving that way. Although one of the most compelling moments in this are oftentimes those landing chords where the pattern will resolve, even if I haven't even been counting the amount of landing chords I've heard. Kind of just like wavering between a half step. The landing chords in this have been like major sevenths, or kind of like open to that anyway, wavering between like the root note and the half step lower. Oh, those fading, blocky Fender notes, yeah, were just that fade out where everything counts. So minimal, just out into the dark. Yeah. That was Uni Sono with Boulevard Blues. Yeah, I like that title. Although even if it didn't really have me thinking of boulevards, but kind of a blues, come to think of it, kind of like an ambient library type blues. Yeah, a keyboard blues. Yeah, off the 1975 hi-hat release, Uni Sono. And basically on that track we were hearing the talents of bassist Pekka Pohjola, drummer Reino, Laine, and the one and only producer, multi-keyboardist Olli Ahvenlahti. The album also features Paroni Paakkunainen on multi-reeds, although didn't hear him on this track, and he's also credited as a producer. And even more interesting, considering what I was just doing the other day, guitar is played by Nono Söderberg, although I didn't hear him on this track. I didn't hear either. I didn't hear guitar or reeds of any kind on this track. And so other tracks will feature them, yeah. This track, Boulevard Blues, was written by Olli Ahvenlahti. This Paroni fellow, yeah, he did an album in 1971. Plastic Mayoma, more of a psych folk album though. It's been a while since I heard it, but yeah. And the others are more the kind of names you'd expect to find on a jazz rock album, particularly this. There were a few like jazz rock bands from Finland, but offhand, this is like the most significant supergroup that I can think of from the Finnish jazz rock scene. In that, just about all of them except Reino, Laine put out works as band leaders, works under their own names, and three of them had done jazz rock albums just around the time of this album's release, and so were quite well established. And on the European jazz rock front, you know, extending beyond Finland, yeah. For more Rubies and Sapphires from the Uni Sono album, see the directory of albums by Scandinavian artists linked in the description below for red hot tracks and purples for more than 700 albums from jazz rock, symphonic rock, folk rock, you know, you name it. Albums by artists from Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Iceland. Like and subscribe, follow me on social media, share the video, and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about the track we just heard, the interplay of the three primary instruments and the atmosphere and the beauty of it, and just the tranquil, lucid, hypnotic flavor of it all. What effect did it have on you? Yeah. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air-traveled Trimax most, signing off.